Stephen Torriello Show. Building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Torriello Show. And you never know where Stephen may go. And now, here's Stephen.
Alexander Vindman pitched a $12 million scheme to profit off Ukraine war funds. What's up, podcast listeners? Yes, I know you're probably thinking, yeah, that name sounds familiar, Alexander Vindman. Yes, it would sound familiar, being how this was the guy that testified against Donald Trump, and he illegally leaked, the perfect phone call. The phone call that Donald Trump had with Zelensky, he leaked that and started the entire impeachment effort by the Democrats against Donald Trump. Well, here it is. I have an article here from Breitbart just to show you who this guy is, okay? This is the guy that tried overthrowing a duly elected president single-handedly. If you listen to my previous episode, I was talking about the military-industrial complex and how we have a bureaucratic swamp running our country. And this swamp is made up of unelected people that have been in politics for years and decades. And they're actually the ones pulling the strings in the background that make some big decisions in our government. They make our government function, and they're not even elected by the people, but they are back there, and Alexander Vindman is one of them. This guy almost single-handedly brought down a duly elected president by leaking an illegal phone call that the president of the United States had with another foreign leader, and it turned out to be all bogus. Everything they did against Donald Trump was bogus and completely out of constitutional norms, but yet they point the fingers at the other side about breaking unconstitutional norms. So anyways, I digress. So I have an article here by Breitbart, and it's dated March 3rd. Hat tip to Christina Wong. Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman on Friday appeared to confirm a report that said he is pitching a defense contract to the Ukrainian government to the tune of $12 million, which would likely come from the U.S. taxpayers to operate and repair military equipment being used in the war. So I told you, if you listen to my previous episode, I told you we went over how much money was spent in the last war, the 20-year war we just got out of, and it was around $2 trillion, with $88 billion being lost to fraud. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The military-industrial complex, the bureaucracy, the uniparty swamp loves these wars, folks. They love this. And that's why during the entire Trump administration, we had no new wars. We did not have any of this kind of stuff happening. And then the moment the Biden administration gets in, the military-industrial complex, the uniparty swamp just fired full steam ahead and was making up for lost time for the 4 years they didn't get to do it with Donald Trump. So here we are. This is the kind of stuff that they do. They start these government contracts and they get these billions of dollars for doing stupid stuff like building air conditioners or whatever it is that they do. I have another article explaining how a lot of that money was lost in the previous war. If we have time, we'll go over it. But I want to continue on with this article. On Thursday, Human Events' Libby Emmons and Jack Posobiec reported that it obtained documents showing that in August 2022, Vindman, operating as CEO of Trident Support, gave a presentation to Ukraine on a Ukraine Weapons Systems Sustainment Center to help the country address problems with repairing and maintaining the equipment that has poured into Ukraine from the West since Russia invaded in February 2022. So, like I said, these types of people, and I'm pretty sure Jim Biden, Joe Biden's brother, he does the same kinds of stuff. It's these construction contracts that they get through the government or whatever it is. They're just subcontracts that they get. That's why hammers for the International Space Station cost $5,000. That's why you get some of the most wasteful spending ever. And it's these people like Alexander Vindman with these government entities like Trident Support and all these stupid programs that they have. They get government contracts for, and they get taxpayer dollars for all this stupid stuff. So here it is, Alexander Vindman, the guy that tried overthrowing a duly elected president by illegally leaking a phone call by the president and a foreign leader, is starting a company, an LLC, to help with maintaining weapons and maintaining the equipment that is poured into Ukraine. What does that even mean? I don't get it. Is our military not good enough to organize the equipment that they're sending over there? This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, folks. This is exactly what they want. And people are falling for this stuff again, man. Falling for it all over again, as if we learned nothing in the last 20 years from our previous war. We've learned nothing. And here we are again, falling for the same stuff, man. We're going to get drug out into a long-drawn 20-year war, and it's going to be people like Alexander Vindman, the bureaucrat swamp creatures, that make all the money. The article continues. Vindman proposed to Ukraine an initial funding tab of $12 million to act as a middleman between NATO weapons and Ukrainian forces, according to Human Events. His company would teach Ukrainian forces how to operate and repair the equipment. Trainers would be highly experienced former soldiers or contractors in Iraq and or Afghanistan. Potential locations for this midpoint would be Poland, Slovakia, or Romania, if it were not possible to set it up in Ukraine, the report said. The presentation was revealed along with court documents showing a dispute over payments, Human Events reported. Vindman, a Ukrainian immigrant to America, infamously worked with the U.S. intelligence official to launch an impeachment inquiry against the then-president Donald Trump in 2019. Vindman claimed that Trump had tried to use $400 million in U.S. military assistance for Ukraine as a quid pro quo to obtain dirt on Hunter Biden, who was paid $80,000 a month to serve on the board of Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma. After Burisma fell under investigation by the Ukrainian prosecutor general, then Vice President Joe Biden worked to get him fired and bragged about it at a Council on Foreign Relations event. Yeah, you guys remember that? So around the same time they were impeaching Donald Trump for a quid pro quo, which... Listen, if you were living under a rock, I don't know how you didn't hear about the details about that impeachment. Anyways, it was completely bogus. It was a partisan impeachment. It was a soft coup attempt against a duly elected president by a political party, the Democrat Party. And then they wonder why the political environment is so heated right now, is all because of the Democrats. This is the sword the Democrat Party sharpened back when Donald Trump was president. And then they have the kahunas that sit and point the finger at the other side and say the other side is a threat to democracy. Yeah, okay. So around that same time Donald Trump was being impeached, there was a video that came out of Joe Biden basically admitting on stage of a quid pro quo. He threatened to withhold government aid to Ukraine if Ukraine did not fire a prosecutor that just so happened to be investigating his son's business deals with the Burisma, the corrupt gas company. You see what I'm saying? It's all corrupt, ladies and gentlemen. The whole freaking thing is corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. The house of cards is all stacked up, man. And I'm telling you, I cannot believe we did not learn our lesson with the last 20-year war. And we're going to allow people like Alexander Vindman, and we're going to allow the military-industrial complex go at it again for another 20 years. It's just incredible. The article continues. After the aid had been put on hold, Trump, in a June 25th, 2019 phone call, asked Zelensky to look into the matter, saying there's a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the attorney general would be great. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what was said in the phone call. I don't know if it was a perfect phone call, but listen, what is that any different than what Joe Biden did? It's just crazy how all these things are connected with Ukraine. What is going on with Ukraine? Listen, everybody knows Ukraine has always been the crooked politician's piggy bank, okay? That's just how it's always been. Everybody knows that. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time accepting that we all have to have unwavering support for this war in Ukraine. because people know that Ukraine has been an extremely corrupt government, an extremely corrupt system for a long time. I'm not saying they deserve to be attacked by the psychopath Putin. I'm just saying maybe the billions of dollars we're sending over there that we're paying government officials pensions with, maybe we should probably keep a close eye on that. But we're not. And even if we were, it would go to scumbags like this guy Alexander Vindman for his stupid middleman business where he helps maintain equipment over there. It's just so dumb, man. It's just so dumb that we're falling for this stuff again. And it pisses me off that it's guys like this guy right here that tried to overthrow a president, Donald Trump, out of the office because he didn't like him over a phone call. I mean, the guy is as sleazy as you can get. I mean, when you just look at the guy, he's like one of those guys that you don't even know, but you automatically just don't trust him. He's the one that's like acting super shady, sitting in the corner while you and your group of friends are talking, and the guy's like peeking around a soda machine, listening to your conversation. Like, that's what this guy reminds me of. Just a weird crackpot dude, man, that would just stab you in the back in a heartbeat if it meant getting a promotion. So trust me, his road to lieutenant colonel was probably a very, very dirty one, I would imagine. The article continues. At the time, Vindman was listening in on the phone call as Director for European Affairs for the National Security Council on loan from the Pentagon. After the phone call, he and his twin brother Eugene went to the NSC General Counsel to complain that it was improper of Trump to make the request. How is that improper, anyways, folks? How is it improper for the President of the United States to say, yo, we think the former vice president, the guy that's running against me, we think that he may have done some corrupt stuff while he was vice president. I would like you to look into that. Wouldn't people want that kind of corruption found? It's shocking that the Democrat Party and their media apparatus don't want to know if Joe Biden is corrupt. That's just mind-blowing to me. Like, we all know he's corrupt, and it's just like they don't want the people to pull the curtain back on the wizard, man, and they're just doing everything they can to keep that from happening. And it's not just the media, it's everybody. It's the entire swamp. It's like Donald Trump was such a threat to the establishment uniparty that they had to get this guy out of there. His entire administration was nothing but fighting off attacks, man, from the swamp, from the uniparty. That's what he had to do. The entire administration was just fight off attacks and people stabbing him in the back. It was insane. Imagine the kind of stuff this guy would have got done if he just would have got left alone. I mean, look what he got done with all that, with having to fight off the swamp. Imagine if he didn't have to do that. And imagine if they actually would have worked with Donald Trump, how great this country would be. I mean, during the Trump administration, the country was phenomenal anyways. But it's just a matter of fact that if they would have just left the guy alone instead of trying to overthrow his presidency and try and get him thrown out of office and trying to get him impeached the entire time with these stupid collusion hoaxes and these Russian hoaxes and these phone calls and the Ukraine quid pro quo stupid stuff. Do people realize that the Democrat Party and the uniparty swamp creatures tried to overthrow a duly elected president because they didn't like him? Like, is that not insane? I mean, we all remember the stuff that they did. And they want to point the finger at the other side and call them threats to democracy? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think so. And listen, 100 years from now, when we're all long gone from this earth, history is going to judge these people very, very harshly. Trust me. Shortly after, an intelligence official tried to file a complaint to the intelligence community inspector general and Representative Adam Schiff. This guy, man. Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, took it public, falsely claiming he did not meet with the intelligence official who filed the complaint beforehand. Trump was later acquitted by the Senate of any wrongdoing. Why is Adam Schiff still in our government politics? How does this guy even still have his law license, is what I want to know. This guy was caught lying over and over and over again. And not only that, but he was on the House Intelligence Committee. Like, he had our country's most deepest secrets, and this guy's leaked stuff. The guy is just as corrupt as they can get. Ladies and gentlemen, we have probably the most corrupt government in United States history right now. This government, this bureaucracy is so corrupt it's just thick, man. And I really don't know if there's anybody or anything that can fix it. When Donald Trump claims that he wants to drain the swamp, I don't really think he understood how deep the swamp was, man. And he was just getting stabbed everywhere. And listen, it doesn't help Donald Trump. One of his biggest faults, one of his biggest downsides was the guy just did not know how to draft people. He did not get the right people to work with, man. This guy, I mean, he had a blind spot a mile wide when it came to picking people for his cabinet. I mean, it was a disaster. It seemed like every person that Donald Trump picked ended up stabbing him in the back somehow, some way. I mean, it's just crazy how it all worked out. Anyways, let's just finish up the rest of this article. While Vindman appeared to confirm his proposal to the Ukrainian government, he also raised the prospect of suing for defamation over the article. Breitbart News unsuccessfully attempted to get a hold of Vindman for comment. So, again, folks, you got this guy here, Alexander Vindman, in the background, trying to be the middleman for equipment and weapons services, trying to get billions of dollars, a $12 million contract. This is what these people do, man. This is what they do. This is how it's always been. The military-industrial complex, the swamp, the bureaucracy, this is what they've always done, and this is what they're always going to do. It's our duty to stop allowing this stuff to happen, man. And again, people are seemingly okay with this government just sending billions of dollars out to Ukraine for this war. And I get it. I understand how you want to support Ukraine, and you can. But, you know, you can do more than one thing at once. Like, both things can be true. We could want to support Ukraine to weaken the Russian military and keep an eye on our money. Just because the government, the swamp, wants to aid Ukraine until the end of time doesn't mean that we shouldn't be keeping an eye on that aid. That's just unacceptable, folks. We should be keeping an eye on every single penny because, like I said in my previous episode, $2 trillion was spent on the previous war, the 20-year-long war that we had, and $88 billion was lost to fraud. So here we are doing it again. It's vital that people demand that we know where our money's going. And speaking of Vindman, this guy is just awful, man. Like, he is the worst of the worst. He is just one of those people that should not be in our government. This is the kind of guy, he's unelected, he has extreme amounts of power, he's the one in the back pulling the strings of the show. He's guiding this. I don't know. It's hard to explain how the bureaucracy works. But it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. For the longest time when I was a Democrat, every time someone would say, oh, the deep state this, the deep state that, I thought like they were crazy. I'm like, you guys are like conspiracy theorists. You think that there's some mystical deep state in the background pulling strings, and you guys are just crazy. They're talking about the bureaucracy, the unelected officials that just stay in politics. They stay in government year after year after year, decade after decade, through multiple presidents. They're just in there. They're like ticks, man. These really are the ticks on the ass of America, is people like Alexander Vindman. And they go and they start these little companies, and they get subcontracted out by the government because they know people up top and they know how to get the checks written and they know how the whole process works. And that's what they do. That's how these people get rich. That's how all these politicians get rich, man, is slimy, sneaky stuff like this. And so I thought that was just an interesting article for people to hear. I think you should want to know that the same guy that tried to overthrow a duly elected president is trying to be the middleman to get a bunch of war money that we're sending to Ukraine. So I just found it interesting. This is the kind of stuff that burns me up to see people like Alexander Vindman, this slimy little nerd with glasses, out there making millions of dollars of taxpayer money off stupid middleman contracts for this Ukraine war. And like I said, folks, the military-industrial complex uses situations like this to get money, because they know that the people are not going to ask questions when you're fighting for freedom and democracy. That's why that's the only thing they can tell you they're fighting for is freedom and democracy, okay? It's just a talking point. That's what they use to convince people that everything is on the up and up. And then 15, 20 years down the road, when you're like, man, that was kind of a dumb war to fight, after $5-6 trillion down the road, you're going to think to yourself, man, maybe we should have sent someone in there to kind of talk this through, kind of negotiate a deal out of this. But no, people have learned nothing, absolutely nothing in the last 20-year war, and here we are doing it again. What I think is happening is this gradual escalation is, I think Ukraine is using the United States military to garner what they want, to accomplish their agenda. So, like in the beginning, Crimea was never discussed. Ukraine now is talking about taking back Crimea. So automatically, within the first year, we went from Ukraine defending itself against Russia, which I agree, absolutely, send them all the weapons and ammunition they need to do that, to now all of a sudden, we have to take back Crimea. And then now the point man for Zelensky's talking about tanks in Moscow. So what's really going on here, folks? And that's why I'm telling you, you should always be skeptical whenever the government is getting involved in stuff like this. Whenever the government sits there and says, oh, we have to get involved in this and we have to do this, we're fighting for democracy. Every time they say that, just expect it to be malicious, okay? There's a deeper reason. There's a reason for all this stuff happening. We already know that the Bidens have severe corruption when it comes to Ukraine. And honestly, I don't know how anybody can't be worried that Joe Biden isn't compromised by places like Ukraine and Russia and China. I mean, the guy's son has been flying around for years making backdoor deals as the bagman in this Biden Inc. And Joe Biden, the big guy, is getting 10% cut of everything. Like, how is that okay to people? That's what I want to know. Like, how is that okay? That like, nobody should even be asking the question, like, yeah, that kind of doesn't seem right, dude. Like, no, dude, that sounds really bad. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Why was Joe Biden trying to get the prosecutor fired in Ukraine that was investigating his son? Why? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I think one of their excuses was, well, the guy wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Okay, so you fired him, and they brought in another prosecutor. Did the other prosecutor do what he was supposed to do? Did he investigate Hunter Biden? No. So if you fired the first prosecutor because he wasn't doing his job, which, I don't know, investigating a corrupt gas company seems like doing your job to me. If you fire him for not doing that, and then you bring in another guy that doesn't do that, then why did you fire the first guy? You see what I'm saying, folks? None of this stuff makes sense. People are just, the news cycle, it goes so fast that people lose control. They lose sight of what's really going on. And there's way more pieces to this puzzle, ladies and gentlemen. And the pieces will start to come out, but unfortunately it's going to come out 10, 15 years down the road after we waste $5-6 trillion on this war. And not to mention that it's most definitely going to get us involved in a World War III. If you listen to my last episode, I've been saying we're going to be going into World War III for weeks now. If you listen to my previous episodes, I was talking about that 4-star general that made the same prediction that we'd be at war with China in 2025. So yeah, I'm already assuming we're going to be in World War III soon. If this gradual escalation doesn't stop and we start de-escalating the situation and start trying to lower the heat here, then I definitely think we're going into World War III. So anyways, I just wanted to get on here and do a quick show about the Alexander Vindman trying to scheme money off the taxpayers with some stupid middleman business to Ukraine. And this is a military-industrial complex, folks. This is your government. I think maybe with people more informed with this little situation, maybe they'll make the right decision next time they go to the voting booth. I don't know. I can only hope. That's it. That's why we're here. I'm here to inform you guys. So I can only hope that you make the right decision, and informed people make right decisions. Uninformed people make wrong decisions. So that's it. Yeah, I know I haven't been on here for the last few days. That is because, ladies and gentlemen, my microphone broke. And podcasters that's kind of an important piece of equipment for a podcast. So I had to order another microphone. I had to wait for it to come in. So I don't know if it's going to sound better. I did get a better mic, supposedly. Listen, I did the deep dive. I went down the microphone rabbit hole. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I may never be the same again. But hopefully I bought the right microphone. You guys let me know in the comments. Share the show with your friends and family. Obviously, you guys know that podcasts like this aren't going to get tossed around in the algorithm very much just because it's the kind of content that it is. So the only way that we get shows like this out there to the people is by sharing, is by word of mouth, essentially. So you guys got to share the show with your friends and family and tell them to follow the show. Hit the little plus sign at the top of the screen. Follow the show. I'm going to get on here. I'm going to try and get you out some content. I have so much stuff planned for this show. It's incredible, and I'm so excited to get everything started. Like I said, there's the school board member who's running for St. Lucie County School Board. We're going to be doing an interview with him soon. I'm just getting the logistics set up for that, and then he's available to do an interview. So we're going to get an interview for that. We're going to do all kinds of stuff on this show, ladies and gentlemen. I've been saying this from the beginning. The more people that follow this show, the bigger our voice is. And the bigger our voice is, the bigger change that we can make. And we can change the direction this country is going in. But unfortunately, the algorithm is not going to send the show through like they're going to send, the Young Turks through or something like that. They're just not going to do it. Conservative podcasts and people that talk about real subjects and real controversial subjects like what we talk about here on this show are not going to get tossed around the algorithm like, say, somebody talking about how bad Donald Trump sucks, okay? If you talk bad about the Republican Party, if you talk bad about conservatives and Donald Trump, you're going to be out there all day long. So, but in our case, that's not the case with us. So we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, ladies and gentlemen. That's by telling your friends and family. And when you tell them, hey, type in Stephen Torriello Show, give him a listen, tell them to follow the show too. And then, because the followers helps spread the word. So basically, it's almost out of their control. If you have so many followers, you're going to get stuffed in that algorithm and they're going to throw you all over the place. And that's what we want, ladies and gentlemen, because we want that snowball to build and get a huge following so that we can make some serious changes here. We're getting serious, folks. We're getting serious now. So, again, let me know what you think about the new microphone. Let me know if you think it sounds good. I got so much stuff to learn, ladies and gentlemen. I just haven't had the time. I wanted to tell you, I started a Rumble account. So I'm going to start uploading the episodes on Rumble. And you guys can start watching the shows there. So if you got Rumble, watch the shows. It's not a video. I don't do podcast video. I just do audio only. So I do what they call an audiogram. And it's basically just my podcast artwork with a waveform so you can hear the audio. It basically turns the audio into a video so you can post it on things like TikTok and YouTube and Rumble. But we're not going on YouTube, folks. I don't care how much people say that helps. They said that YouTube, by uploading to YouTube, you get 50% increase in followers, or you get 5 times the followers. I don't care, folks. YouTube is a bunch of commies. I'm not doing it. Okay, I know that Apple Podcasts is a bunch of commies, and all the other podcasts are a bunch of, I know they act like a bunch of commies too, but listen, it's the principle of the matter, man. YouTube is unacceptable, and I just won't do it. I refuse. So I don't care how many times it multiplies my following. I just don't care. That's no concern to me. I have principles, and I'm going to stick with my principles. So Rumble will get my content, and I will be on Rumble. I'm on every podcast platform that's out there. I'm starting to dabble in some TikTok, and I'm starting to dabble in some Twitter videos and all that. I'm starting to get into all of it, folks. But it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of work because I don't have anybody helping me. So, I have to do it all myself. And with all this stuff comes a learning curve. So I'm learning how to do all this stuff as I'm doing it. And I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes. But anyways, I'm pretty sure if you go to TikTok, Rumble, Twitter, you type in my name, The Stephen Torriello Show, you should be able to find it, and you should see some clips of the show up there. So that's it for today, folks. I'm going to try and get you some more content tomorrow. I just wanted you to hear about this scumbag Alexander Vindman and the slimy stuff that he's up to right now, so you guys know what we're dealing with. share the show with your friends and family. And you guys have a great day. Have a great week. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.